Our political leaders will know our priorities only if we tell them again and again, and if those priorities begin to show up in a national poll. Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation. Our topic of discussion today is local government elections 2023. Where do we stand at this very point of time? To discuss all this and more, we've invited three guests to our studios this evening. Joining us this evening on the show are Chris Balthazar, member of the Mountain Municipal Council and also the head of the Foreign Relations Committee of the Sri Lanka Peramuna. Also joining us tonight on the show is Attorney at Law Tharak Nanakara, representing the Samik Janavala Vege, as well as Bharat Alrusami, Vice President of the Ceylon Workers' Congress. Joining us this evening to pose questions to our panelists, on to my immediate right is Shania Darigama, on to my immediate left is Attorney at Law Charlene Benedict, and on to my far left is Sandro Satyajit. You can also send your questions to 071 558 7788. The number once again, 071 558 7788. And we would love to take up those questions as the show goes along and pose those questions to the respective panelists momentarily. So let's start off tonight's show with Chris Balthazar, member of the Mountain Municipal Council and head of the Foreign Relations Committee of the Sri Lanka Peramuna. What are your thoughts on the upcoming polls which are scheduled for the 9th of March so far?
First of all, let me thank you, Shamir, for having me on the show tonight. I guess there was another candidate also who would have been present here, but sadly, that person from that relative party is not here. So keeping that in mind, I would like to move forward to the local government elections. The right comes from the SLPP. This time around, we've had, in some areas, in some local government areas, where we've merged with the United National Party. So you take Colombo and the Mountain, which I represent, will be running in with the Mountain, with the United National Party on a joint campaign. So where it comes to the elections and where we are prepared and how we are going forward with it, I think the SLPP was the first party to submit the nominations as well as keep the deposits for all the local government districts. So thereby it shows that our readiness and we are prepared, especially after a bad beating that came to us after the May 9th and prior to the 9th of May, all the political instability that affected us. We want to show that actually the mandate of the people is still with the SLPP and where the trust and confidence is there with the people. So we are prepared in whatever manner to face the elections and the best may the best party win, because especially when it comes to a local government election, Shamir, this is not a election where you topple a government or that there'll be significant changes that can be made to the existing structure of the country. This is where your thoroughfares, the health and welfare of the people is looked into, and especially in 2018 when the SLPP came in, we whitewashed the entire country, and at that time our representatives who were there worked. At that time we had to face this thing because we were working with the SLFP and UMP government, the party, and then after that we were able to, on the latter, come into a stage where the SLPP established its bringing the president as well as the parliament. So the amount of work as local councillors have done nationwide, I think those things have now, the yield has come out and the people have absolute trust in the SLPP as to how we are going to take it forward. So I'm confident that we have no problem, and we look forward to the election as it on the 9th of May, and we hope it won't get postponed as well.
Chris, you say that the people have absolute trust with the SLPP now. Tell me what has changed since last year to date.
See, when it came to the local government elections, Shamir, what I mentioned is that in 2018 when we came, we still maintained that trust within our constituents. For example, you take where I represent, our constituents, I don't see a big change. We see political parties coming and harping about what they...
I want to drag attention to the Aragal last year, what happened. And you said that there's a lot of confidence that has been built around the SLPP now. There was a loss of confidence last year with the SLPP regime, that is why Gotabaya Rajapaksa has to even flee the country. Tell me, how has things changed from that point onwards to now?
See, Shami, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the Aragale period, that was a well politically organized, politically motivated measure, which, as in the statistics say, it was more than not even 200,000 people that came in. I don't want to go on to that. But now, see, we are talking of grassroots. I represent grassroots. When we go with the grassroots communities, we see people saying, okay, fine, we are going through a hard time. Globally, there are issues. Okay, we saw similarly in Pakistan what happened with the ousting of Imran Khan and how people are suffering now. But when we have these things coming in, the people's message is, we can build ourselves. We can move forward. So we have confidence in you all. Take it up.
Thank you very much, Chris Balthazar, member of the Deval Mountain Municipal Council and head of the Foreign Relations Committee of the Sri Lanka Pojana Peramuna. I have a lot of questions for you, Chris, but I'm going to hold all that back for the time being, and I'll pose them to you when our Q&A session begins. I want to now start off with Attorney at Law Tharakana Nakara, representing the Samgijana Balavega on our topic, local government elections 2023.
Thank you, Shamir, and thank you, TV1 and MBC, for bringing us down for a very interesting conversation. And local government elections 2023. What is local government? Local government is administration of your own village, your own town, your own urban area, or what you call Pradesha Sabha, Nagara Sabha, or Mahanagara Sabha in Sinhalese. But is it only a local government election that we are facing right now? I would say this is where the mandate of the government and the mandate of the president is tested, and that is why these local government elections are extremely important. You see, I don't need to remind you about the Aragalaya, the struggle, what happened on the 9th of May, right down to the so-called president who had a 6.9 million vote mandate, who had to surreptitiously move out of the country and declare his resignation. I don't want to go there, but we still remember that. And Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, the current president, became, of course, constitutionally, in terms of the constitution, he became the acting president, then elected the president from 134 votes in the parliament. So now we are looking at an election where the almost entire national electorate will go and vote. And this government and the president, the head of the government, seems to be very sketchy about having the elections. We saw several ministers, starting from our good old friends Harin Fernando and Manusha Nanayakara, old friends, used to be on the side of the truth and fairness, but now saying whether the election is a priority or not. I would say it's not a priority for them because the lack of their mandate would be very clear when the results come out. So there are several tactics utilized by the government to delay these elections or to postpone these elections. They've started with the postponing or with the appointment of the members of the Constitutional Council. They've tried it in court. They've tried pressurizing the Elections Commission. Members of the Election Commissions were summoned by the President for the first time ever after an election has been declared. All these pressures did not work, and yet for all, the government has not given up in postponing the elections. Here they come and tell us, okay, we are not afraid of elections. With all due respect to my good friend, we are not afraid of elections. We are ready to face elections. We were the first to make the deposits. But you say we have a Sinhala saying which goes to the tune that the most scared person only shouts a lot when you go near a cemetery, when you walk through a cemetery. When you're too scared, you keep shouting a lot. So I would think that's something like that. So anyway, the elections are due and elections should be held and people should be allowed to decide. And this will act as a key indicator of the people's wishes and the mandate of the government.
Thank you very much, Attorney at Law Tharak Nanakar, representing the Samuk Janawala Vega. When you say that there are political parties who are shouting and those political parties are scared, I don't know which finger to point at, because if you look at almost all the political parties are shouting at the moment. SJB, NPP, UNP, and now CWC. We have Bharat Arusami, Vice President of the Ceylon Workers Congress, joining us this evening as well for the first time on Face the Nation. Bharat, what are your thoughts on the elections?
First of all, I would like to thank you and the TV1 for giving us this opportunity. And as a party, the Ceylon Workers Congress, as our General Secretary, Honorable Minister Jivan Thondaman pointed out yesterday to the media, we are ready for an election. We have made all the groundworks, and we are always ready for any elections. But the thing is, like the people of the country, as you mentioned, the Aragalaya or the local grassroots level people wanted a system change. That was the demand, that was the voice of the youngsters. So I don't know whether this election will be a system change, but constitutionally, on a legal framework, if it is mandatory election, it should held. And as a party, we are contesting in Nuvaraliya, Kandy, Badulla, Kagol, Ratnapura, Matale, and many other districts. With we are contesting in Cockerel symbol, our own symbol, and also in some areas we are in some Pradesh Sabhas, we are affiliating with UNP. So in 2018, we in Nuvaraliya we got large mandate in local government, as well as in Badulla, as well as in Matale. So all our local government members who had performed very well in their grassroots level. So we have strong hope and belief. This time the people are with us, and we have given our policies and our working plan to the people, even in the parliamentary election. Due to some setbacks, we couldn't perform a few things, but we have striving and continuously working towards the betterment of our community. As a community, representing the upcountry people, it is our duty and responsibility to maintain and cater their needs. So we, time to time, we take calls, and as a party, as an independent party, we had taken the decision of the people of our community in the national politics and also in the regional politics.
Bharat, because you have a few seconds more to go to complete the 3 minutes, I'm going to pose a question to you.
Yeah.
You say time to time you all have represented your community.
Yes.
But if you look at the past few decades that the CWC has been operating in the parliamentary elections or otherwise, you all have always been supporting the government in power. Look at now.
Yes.
Look at what's happening now. Congratulations to your General Secretary Jivan Thondaman for being appointed as a cabinet minister at the age of 28. But let's look at what's going on.
Yes,
you have always supported the government in power for your own benefit.
Yes, you have to raise that same question. In 1948, now this year we are going to mark a significant year, because we are going to remember, like 75th, we are entering the 75th independence. In 1948, when the entire country got independence, our community, they were stateless. We were like neither Sri Lankan citizen nor Indian citizens. So till 2003, we were struggling and struggling and struggling to get back our fundamental franchise rights. So we had to be in the government to win over our rights. We didn't fight. We didn't go for riots. We didn't take any other illegal means to win back our rights. We took our rights, being in the government, demanding, pressurizing the government. We being the minority of all the minorities, we had to stand with our people to win back our rights. So it is what we are doing now. People may criticize. You are like you, as you correctly said, people may say you are always in power, but nothing happened. No. If we are not in the power, nothing would have moved forward. Still, we don't have the land rights. So no one there to speak. So since we are in the government, we had won back our democratic right, as well as we are winning, we are in the track of development. So as a policy, when late Minister Soumya Murthy Thondaman and Arumugan Thondaman, now Minister Jeevan Thondaman and Senthil Thondaman, we have taken a very inclusive decision to represent the government which has a plan. So we see the President Ranil Wickremesinghe has a plan to take this country forward. So that's what we had pledged our support to him.
Thank you very much, Bharat Arusami, Vice President of the Sri Lankan Workers Congress, for joining us this evening for the very first time on Face the Nation. Thank you very much, all three gentlemen. I know you all must be very busy planning out how to work it out as far as elections are concerned on the 9th of March, just a couple of weeks away. So thank you very much for joining us this evening on Face the Nation. To pose questions, as I said before, onto my immediate right is Shania, onto my immediate left is Shalan, and onto my far left is Sandro. Let's start off with Sandro.
Thank you, Shabir. Very good evening to all three of you gentlemen. My first question would be to Mr. Tharaka now. Just a quick yes or no question. Is your party all right with the 200 million rupees being spent on the Independence Day celebration?
No, clearly not.
Not. But is your party all right with 10 billion Sri Lankan rupees being spent on an election then?
It's like this. Celebration of independence is an important
Yes
thing.
or no first, Mr. Tharaka?
10 billion on election.
No, Sandro,
Yes.
you have to let him
If
answer.
yes,
Yes, okay.
the reason is 10 billion, that's I said yes, and I'm going to explain it to
Of
you.
course.
So, independence celebrations is a good thing. 75th landmark year of celebrations, but are we in a position to spend 200 million LKR, if I'm not mistaken, to just satisfy ourselves looking at our armored cars, looking at our soldiers marching, looking at our brass bands walking, just for one day? But what about elections? If we say 10 billion is a burden on the economy, you must look at the government expenditure. If I'm not mistaken, the last appropriation bill, which became the Appropriation Act, Finance Act of 2022-23, have allocated over 4,800 billion for government expenditure. Who presented the budget? Minister of Finance, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. And that budget has allocation of 11 billion LKR for the elections. So this is not a sudden expenditure. This has been provided for, and in any event, for democracy to be protected, for people's right of franchise to be exercised, for people's sovereignty, which is a constitutionally secured right, to be protected, these elections must be held at any cost. And the government keeps on saying the problem has come, the problems have eased off. There are no fuel queues. The inflation had come down month to month. Don't they say that? They say that. They said that they've done wonders. They say more to come, more wonders to come. Tourism, Minister of Tourism is heard to say that tourism is booming. You get cruise ships. We only know that cruise ships come and park here for 10 hours and then they just turn back and go, hardly giving any contribution to the economy. Then they say, if the Europeans are not coming, we'll get down Russians. They're talking big. They're saying the economy is on the right track. So if the economy is on the right track, why cannot a percentage of 0.17, if I'm not mistaken, from the national budget, which is already allocated, be spent for elections? I don't see any reason not to.
Tharaka, sorry, Shalan. You mentioned in your opening statement that there have been desperate measures taken to delay the elections. What would be the potential repercussions of a delay?
Of a delay, when what is the guiding principle of democracy? Along with the protection of fundamental rights, the exercise of franchise in time. So the local authorities have a duration of 4 years, which have been extended by the minister for 1 year, all well and good, in accordance with the Local Government Elections Act and Ordinance as amended. That is fine. But as the main guiding principle of democracy, if you do not hold elections, what will happen? People are prevented from exercising their right to elect their local councillors. The local councils are going to be automatically dissolved on the 9th of March anyway, because it was established by Gazette dated 9th of March 2018, which is to be over in 2022, extended by another 1 year, which brings us to 9th March 2023. So after that, the councils will go on to special commissioner control. No elected representative to look after the interests of the ward. No elected representatives to discuss the problems of the people in a particular local government area. And more importantly, people are prevented from exercising their franchise. I would say last year, the Aragale, or the people's struggle, drove away a president who had a mandate for 5 years, because he was not acting according to the wishes of the general public and was not acting in helping the people who were suffering from power cuts, from shortages of medicine, so on and so forth. So a president who had a mandate for 5 years had to quietly walk out of the country and resign. And now we have local councils of which the mandate has expired. And we have a president who has been elected by constitutional methods. I'm not challenging that, as I said earlier, 134 votes. People are eager to see how strong the government is, because don't forget, we are in turbulent times in terms of economy, and drastic measures are to be implemented. If you take your payslip from MBC yesterday, I suppose most of you all, who are permanent employees, most of you all would have noticed about a 36% difference from your original December salary. That is your pay tax. We will also be paying 36% pay tax. So this is as opposed to 18%, which was there until 2019, which was scrapped totally by the short-sighted Gotabaya Rajapaksa regime.
No, it was 24%, then they
24%.
shifted to 18%.
I stand corrected.
And now it's 36%.
No, 18%, and the pay was totally scrapped.
Yes, yeah.
Totally scrapped, causing a 600 billion rupee
there was a the threshold was increased. So
correct.
That's the reason.
Then finally, now it's increased to 36%. These are not popular decisions. Correct. And do we need to squeeze the necks of the hard-working?
Tarek, what would you all have done differently?
It's like this. Is it about imposing taxes? Now, what is the government trying to achieve? They are looking at 70 billion revenue. As I said, if I am not badly mistaken, the government expenditure is 4,688 odd billion rupees. So what are they trying to achieve? They are trying to...
No, what would you all do differently?
I will tell you. I will need some time, because we have an economic blueprint. We have a 10-point plan, which was launched, which was published in September 2022 by Dr. Harsha De Silva, Mr. Eran Wickramaratne, and Mr. Kabir Hashim, our Economic Council. So widening of the tax net, yes, but then there is, you can place withholding taxes. You will have to look at cutting down public expenditure, the wastage. I will tell you what we would have done differently. We wouldn't have been swearing in 2 cabinet ministers every week. We wouldn't have been appointing so many state ministers without any use or any positive contribution to the economy. We wouldn't have been giving 3 vehicles to each minister. We wouldn't have been giving 6 security guards paid by the government to each minister, 6 coordinating secretaries. These are all costs. These are all costs.
Shabir, just to ask.
It's alarming.
We tell the government to practice what they preach.
Tarek, I don't want to interfere in what you're saying, but
I will let you.
Just want to notice that when His Excellency Gotabaya Rajapaksa was the president, the first person he called upon to become the Prime Minister of the country was Sajith Premadasa. He was given it on a platter. He was offered it, take it. Then he refused. Okay. After that, when Ranil Wickremesinghe was given it, he writes a letter and pleads, please give it to me. I'll consider it. I'll be like this.
I need to respond.
So then, when that is not being given, when you're given and you're not taken, then it comes to the presidential election. What does he do? He does not have now the SLPP, but as Tariq said, does not have the spine or the backbone to contest the election. Or we are scared. Or when he had this thing to contest as the president in Parliament, where he says that, you know, before this whole thing that he mentioned that, you know, I have so much of veto in Parliament, I can control this. He could have easily done that, but he did not. Who does he go and support? The person who comes fourth in the Mathura district, fourth place in the Mathura district, who's given the presidential this thing to come as a this thing with no experience of ruling in top power. So now, when given all this, and he comes and lambastes us like you know, he's not lambasting, but you know, says that this is our economic plan, this is our structure. Why couldn't you all take it up at that point and bring it forward?
I will tell you why. We were offered the premiership. We posed 4 conditions. What were the 4 conditions? We were not refusing to take up the challenge. Mr. Sajith Premadas, our leader, he was offered the premiership by Gotabaya Rajapaksa. We don't call His Excellency and that Excellency Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa. He is no excellency. If he was excellent, he wouldn't have had to go like that. Anyhow, Chris, with all due respect to you, whatever the reservations I have about Gotabaya Rajapaksa, I have all the respect for you. So, Sajith Premadas, Honorable Sajith Premadas, Mr. Sajith Premadas was offered the premiership. He posed 4 conditions. He asked Gotabaya Rajapaksa, when are you going to resign? Give me a deadline. That was the first condition, because that was the demand of the people. Because Gotabaya Rajapaksa had to get Mahinda Rajapaksa to resign from premiership and to offer it to someone else, so that in the hope of protecting his presidency for a longer period, he offered it to Mr. Sajith Premadas. But the demand of the public was not only for Mahinda Rajapaksa to go home, but for Gotabaya Rajapaksa to go home. That was the public outcry. Then rightly, very correctly, Sajith asked in writing, when are you going to resign? So what did Gotabaya Rajapaksa do? He revised the offer, gave it to Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, who did not ask any questions.
That was after it was
who
given.
Did not
After
impose
it was given,
any
after the designation was given, then he writes his conditions and comes up.
That's totally wrong. That's totally wrong. You're misrepresenting facts to this forum. That's very wrong. No, I'm not. I'm pretty sure about what happened. He refused because of the hatred people had towards Gotabaya Rajapaksa. He didn't want to go and curry favor with him. But Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, without asking any questions, took over the premiership. And surprise, surprise, 135 MPs of the SLPP goes and backs him fully.
Chris, now, you have come on the show a couple of times, and every single time you've come on the show, you've always criticized Ranil Wickremesinghe. You've said that you were a former UNP member as well. And when I asked you once, why did you switch allegiance from the UNP to SLPP, then you said the leadership was not right.
Leadership was not right was because of the decision that was taken at that time where Maithripala Sirisena was concerned.
Right.
I openly made a statement.
However, your party as a whole,
made myself
your party as a whole has criticized Ranil Wickremesinghe, maybe the bond scam or maybe any other affairs that Ranil Wickremesinghe was involved. He was highly criticized, but now there seems to be a marriage. Now there seems to be a nice marriage between the SLPP and the UNP. There seems to be some sort of unity amongst these two parties. Now you're contesting for the Hivilla Mountain Municipal Council, unfortunately, under the symbol of the elephant.
Yes. So I guess for the betterment of the UMP, because I was also there, the good fruit remained in the basket while the bad were thrown away. So the good fruit remains in Sirikota, while the rest I don't know.
Ranil Wickremesinghe is the good fruit.
No, so whatever remained at Sirikota.
So who are the
is there?
Whoever
left.
So, but Chris, your party profusely leveled allegations against Ranil Wickremesinghe. I mean, your entire campaign almost, I mean, the majority of the campaign for the presidency, for the parliamentary elections was based on, Mahadaval, Mahabanko, Horakankara.
Presidency was not against...
No, presidency was not against... No, but the allegation against the government of good governance was the fact that, the April 21st attacks and the central bank bond scam. I mean, nobody seems to be talking about...
The April attacks.
Yes.
We saw who the culprits were, who was charged.
Yes. No, just speaking about the allegations that were leveled against Ranil Wickremesinghe, specifically with regard to the bond scam, you guys are all right with it now?
No, so if that has to be heard, let it be heard.
But then, Chris, here's the issue. I heard previous parliamentarians from the SLPP also coming out and saying, look, we are not going to interfere in the legal process. If the bond scam has been committed by Ranil Wickremesinghe, he will be punished. But you're missing one thing. There is a thing called presidential immunity. He is immune to suit in court, which is one of the reasons why his cases were thrown out. So now how do you guarantee justice to the entire country, who, according to what y'all said, were severely affected by the central bank bond scam, which some of your party members itself have said is one of the reasons why we are in this position that we are today?
Yeah, so it's in a world of politics, we have enemies, we have friends, but this kind of case, it's been trialed in courts. The reports came out. I remember we used to talk about the reports constantly on this show.
You've been regarding the central bank bond scam.
Bond scam and how it happened. So there are legal proceedings going on. I understand.
Nothing against the president.
Yeah, that the president is this thing, but then the others they have been tried. And like the Easter bombing scenario, I'm sure once his immunity is gone, he'll be taken up. If that's
Easter bomb scenario, that was a fundamental rights application. I think there is a huge disparity.
No, but still, for all, what I'm saying is, if his immunity, he was not immune at that point, so that can be brought forward once his presidential period is done.
Very well. I see, Mr. Arulsamy,
Chris, if I can, Shan, if I can just...
Yeah, sure.
You are representing the ruling party on the panel tonight. If the ruling coalition fails to win, is the plan to dissolve Parliament and call for general elections?
That's if. There won't be if.
There won't be if.
There won't be if.
We are bankrupt.
Chris, you want to put your money where your mouth is?
Chris,
I mean, it's the most logical.
We are bankrupt today. Look at what happened last year, and you're saying that you all are confidently going to win the elections on the 9th of March.
Confidence is there. We all are confident. For example,
but you all won't win.
For example, today...
No, you're confident, but you know that you won't win.
For example, today, in a very prominent girls' school in Dehiwala, a leader who's distributing vehicles to schools went there, and there were not even 30 people there. He had to walk out. I don't want to mention names, I don't want to mention schools. You can focus us this thing. Had not even come for the event. So that shows the demand for the people.
Yeah, but why
there's a media hype created around people, And these people who, criticize the moves of the government or the expenditure and all that, they're also part of this thing where they're also responsible for certain things that has happened.
So, Bharat, interestingly, I don't know whether you recollect, a few months ago, you were in Dikkoya in the Hatton electorate with Jeevan Thondaman. Do you remember?
Yes, very much.
Very much, very good. So when you were at this meeting in question, I saw the manner in which how Jeevan Thondaman was welcomed by Digambara, who is very much affiliated with the SJB. And people got the feeling that the CWC was now supporting the SJB. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, few weeks after, just the hallmark of the CWC, as I said before, every single time you all are offered a portfolio, you all switch. And that happened once again. Dikkoya was supporting the SJB. Few weeks after, look at who is the Cabinet Minister of Infrastructure, Jeevan Thondaman.
Shamir, I beg to differ. See...
No, you were there at the event as well.
I was there, so that's what I wanted to...
I remember your face.
Yeah.
So you can't
because we were there, and I was accompanying our General Secretary as well. The thing is, that was an event of a political party's headquarter open. So an invitation was extended representing Ceylon Workers Congress, our General Secretary, as a Vice President, myself and senior members were attending that event. It doesn't mean that we have gone and created a coalition with the SJB. SJB leader was there, Indian High Commissioner was there, much other political party members were there. That doesn't mean you can't take or assume we have made a coalition. No, that is very wrong. Secondly, you were like telling that after giving a portfolio we went. No. I have to correct. We had many rounds of talk with all political parties. SJB, SLPP, UNP, NPP, every political party. So like my good friend here, when he fancied with a lot of plans, but when he got the chance, SJB got the chance to work. So like you can't have a go to the field, and you can't have a strategy to work, and just to I have a strategy but I can't play. You can't say that excuse. Country is a chaos situation. We are in a crisis. It is a leader should take up the challenge and work. So we, a responsible political party, Jeevan Thondaman and our Maradapandi Rameshwaran, our second parliament member, being the members of the parliament and representing our community, it is our duty to represent our community in the nation interest, to build up this country. So like, if the country is built, everyone is like win-win here. No, so attending to one event doesn't mean that we are going for a collusion.
No, but Bharat, point taken. When you're saying that your leader wants to take up the challenge, your General Secretary wants to take up the challenge, he wants to steer the estate community for a better livelihood, better lifestyle, point taken. Then what happened last year, prior to the 9th of May, when your leader withdrew support completely from the Gotabaya Rajapaksa administration? You all didn't want to take the challenge then?
No, the thing is, we are representing the interest of our people. We don't take isolated decision. We don't take arbitrary decision. We have our National Council, our Executive Council, our party. Then the party members go to the field. We take the opinion of our people. Then we take a collective decision.
So you're saying now that the opinion of the people have changed for your leadership to support the SLPP and Ranil Wickremesinghe?
Not SLPP. Then it is the government. So, you know, you have to distinguish with the SLPP. Oh. Now, see, in this government...
So?
You have to understand.
Yeah, how so? Tell us.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe is there. Representing SJB, there are 2 members are there.
No, that's nonsense. They are no longer SJB members.
They were there, no?
They're defectors.
Like SLPP supporters were there. SLFP supporters were there. CWC were there. Like now we are also supporting. It is not matter of like going here.
So you're not supporting the SLPP?
No, it's not supporting the SLPP. We are part of the government. So now tell me, what is the government? What is the party you are telling the government?
Bharat, there is a statement in politics, I don't know whether you've heard.
Yes.
There are no permanent enemies and there are no permanent
friends I also agree with that.
Politics.
Yes.
And with what you're saying right now, whatever suits you, you all pick up the cherries in the cake according to how you all want it to be.
No, not like that.
I have to agree with Bharat because, see, the government is not purely SLPP.
Yes, it's
the
not
president is from
SLPP.
MEP. Okay, that's why the Prime Minister.
Yeah, the Prime Minister is not SLPP.
Is not SLPP.
He didn't ran from SLPP.
Okay, then
he ran from Pohotpur.
We have so many other representatives.
No, but you have to answer that now. He has a point. Now, Dinesh Gunawardena did contest the...
When did he ran from MEP last in 1994 and lost. Thereafter, he had been contesting on UPFA or SLPP.
So same question I can ask for
same about Danasalah Perumal. So it's not
the same question.
They my dear.
They have crossed over to the government. They have taken portfolios against the party decision. No,
and
that's not the same thing. How
be strong and support the crisis government. They had the backbone to do it.
Oh, very good.
Whereas the leader of the party of their party just sat back. No, I don't want to do it.
Now, Chris, now you've made several allegations against the leader of their party. Now, at the time.
See, let me tell you this.
Yes.
I worked with him way before I even came here.
Okay.
Okay. So I know the culture and the stature that he'll have and how he does things.
But
I have a right to speak and I have a right to say things because if you go back, when I was in the UMP, I had to go in for what Vinay Parikshan again? Disciplinary inquiry because of him over an Athandi matter. Where I was asked to go and then I was told, no, I did not have anything to do, you would not have anything to do with it.
No, but because
This
we
comes
can't
from the
no,
same
but,
person.
He can't defend himself.
No, this comes from the same
Chris,
person.
we can't independently verify that.
No, no, but don't forget
So
2012.
Let's not talk
No,
about that. No point of slinging mud at someone who's not on the show tonight.
Right. No, right. So I'll give you another example. Let's not forget 2012. Who stoned Sirikota?
Who's
The head,
Sirikota?
the head office of this thing. Who was behind it?
Mention a name. Mention a name. Mention a name. I'll get you a network myself tomorrow. Why did you mention a name?
Who was
Who's
behind it? I'm asking. I'm sorry.
No,
You tell me.
Chris,
I'm
just
asking.
one question now.
Who
Chris,
is behind
This is the ridiculous.
There was a leadership
I can,
crisis.
Samir, I can
See,
respond
you
in the
can-
same tone.
Chris,
Either my friend must withdraw his
No,
baseless
I'm
allegations.
just asking who did it. In 2012,
whatever
who did
he's
it?
trying to imply.
Chris,
Or
what
let
did
me
I say? I'm here
respond.
to ask
Or let me respond.
No, I don't mean to. I don't mean to be defamatory. But I'm saying.
Chris, you can
Now,
ask questions, there is no problem.
yes.
But when you say hearsay, then you have to defend yourself. Now, when you
Hearsay
said
is-
who attacked Sirikoti in 2012, and when Tarek is asking you, tell me who it is, you should be able to answer that question.
You don't
That's what I
know.
was
You don't
who?
know. You're saying you don't know
I'm
who
asking
attacked
who?
him. You don't know.
I'm asking a question for
but do you know?
Because the leader
So
of
is
the
there a
party
point in
was there.
asking if you don't
The
know?
leader
What
of the
is the point
party
you're
was
trying to
there.
make? What is
Why
the point
are
you're
you
trying
getting
to
agitated?
What is the point you're trying
Why
to
are you
make?
getting
No, I'm not
agitated? Don't
getting
get agitated, Tarak. I'm asking a very
This
formal
slinging
question.
mud, this
This is not
slinging
slinging mud.
mud.
I'm
This
asking you a
politics
very
is
formal
over. This
question.
politics is expired.
No,
That's
it's
what
right.
happened to
If it has
Gotabaya
expired,
Rajapaksa. That was
if it
happened
has
to
expired,
Mahinda Rajapaksa. That's what happened to SLP.
Tarak and Chris, let's talk about the topic today. We're talking about local government. And see, constructive criticism could be taken without a problem. You all can engage in such discussions, and that is why we have a discourse of this nature, so you all can express your own opinions. But I don't think it's prudent for us to sling mud at each other. In terms of the panelists, you can definitely talk to us about it. We will definitely be very blunt and respond to
But I
you.
mentioned about
But,
this. Your,
but let's be very direct, because at the end of the day,
covered it.
yeah, we have to be very direct at the end of the day.
Chris, so if I can pose one question to you, Chris. Now, you were speaking about this 2023 local government election, and we started off this discussion announcing that, it's going to be about the 2023 local government elections, but we slowly move forward, top of the ladder to, national politics and who is supposed to run the country. Now, at the beginning, you said that this is not an election where you look to topple a government. By the looks of it, you've contradicted that statement itself right here.
By what?
By speaking about national politics on a show that's meant to speak about the 2023 local government election.
I come for how many debates have I come here? You all take up one
Seem to be
subject.
asking a lot of questions today.
And then you build it up onto such a big platform where, as I've said, I've come here on very short notice. And I still stood by your channel. I've gone in for discussions, but the topics have not been the same thing that I've been told. So, when it comes to a matter like this, and the questions, the things that were said, so I have to respond to those things as well.
Right, okay, but...
With all due fairness, Tarak has all right to respond to whatever I said.
And Tarak can pose questions to you as well.
No, he's
when
more
you
than
want some
welcome.
clarity on a subject, that has to be open, and
But Chris, do you genuinely believe that because elections in Sri Lanka, especially local government elections in Sri Lanka, nobody goes and looks at the candidate and says, okay, he's a proper person, he can work for our electorate, and vote for him disregarding his party. It has always been which party. And I believe even in the 2018, the 2018 local government election, they were like, I still distinctly remember members of the cohort were coming out and say, let's make this the first gunshot, Palaveni Vedimuraya, for us to change the government. So what's wrong in other parties and the country as a whole considering this in the same light that you all called the country to consider it back in 2018 when you all were slated to win?
No, that was, see, we were coming back after this thing. We never said that we were going to topple the government. No.
Palaveni Vedimuraya.
Palaveni Vedimuraya. Right, that is.
So,
but see,
leading up.
But it's not a party-based election, this one as well. You have to remember that. There are so many independent groups. Now, for example, you take Maharagama. It was a bicycle symbol that won. Despite the UMP contesting, despite the JVP, it was a bicycle.
That's one. That's one.
Chris, Chris,
but then there are independent candidates. There are from
Chris,
the bat or whatever.
Chris,
football this time.
You know what happened during an election when the UNP was not in the local government election body, and you know who won? The taxi driver from Moratuwa. So don't talk about Maharagama Municipal Council and just take that as an example, Chris. That is not fair.
No, then there are independent groups.
No, but now I have a question. I have a question for you from our viewer. Now, considering what the SLPP did, bankrupt the country, and why must the people give them the vote when the man behind the bond scam is now heading them to? Do you believe, Chris, that the people are so oblivious to what has happened in the country?
The man behind the bond scam is not heading the SLPP. Na? The
But
man
he's
behind
heading the country.
The
That's
man
even
behind
worse.
the bond scam, who is accused of being behind the bond scam, is the president of the country. SLPP
So
is.
you all accept that?
He's the president of the country.
No, but you all accept that he was behind the bond scam?
I won't.
But you just said so.
No, the accused of being behind it. I never said that the man behind the bond scam.
As long as he's found guilty. As long as he's found
Innocent until proven guilty.
My gosh, we never knew you held this stance
Okay.
back in the day.
No, but then still for all, the bankrupt in the country, they talk of 70 years of, political, this thing where, everyone talks about it now. It's, I think, more than the three parties here. It's
Not
the,
us, yes.
Yeah, you're not them.
Certain party who
certain
we would
party
love to have here.
who was not here, despite being invited, who could not present themselves here.
No, but Chris, you know who was invited. I don't want to say the name. And that particular person who was invited is very close to you as well. So it's not right for you.
Politics and personal life are two different
But at the
things.
end of the day, Chris, let's be very fair and honest. You know who was invited, and you know why that person backed out as well. And let's not talk about that. That's not fair because that person is not today on the show. So you have to be glad that person is not on the show today. If that person was there on the show today, probably you wouldn't be able to. It would be very bad. At least Taraka has the decency to. If that person was there on the show, you won't even get a chance to talk. So you have to be very glad that person is not there. No, we have to be.
Good that I know next time where your biasness will come out. Now I know where the biasness will come out.
We have to be very open. We have to be very open. At the end of the day, see, when you come on the show, we have invited you with a lot of respect.
True,
You've come on the show a couple of times. You said on short notice you've come on the show as well. But when you're talking about someone who's not on the show, that's not fair.
I have not mentioned individuals. I have not mentioned names. I have not mentioned
we are not mentioning names as well, but you and I both know who it is.
What we all collectively say that we miss the other person from the other party.
No.
Not the
one
person,
else
the
said.
party.
No,
The party. We miss the party.
You said so.
We
You
miss the
said
party.
so. Right, you said so. But
So, sorry, now I have to get back to where I was starting.
we are talking about the fact that
the fact
the
that the
SLPP
country
bankrupted the country,
Shamir.
And why must the people vote the SLPP in at the local government elections on the 9th of March 2023?
Okay, you take COVID. Once COVID hit Sri Lanka, our government was commended as one of the best governments in tackling COVID.
By who and where?
There was, I think the WHO also had mentioned it. There were agencies that mentioned about as to how Sri Lanka is handling the COVID things. By due all fairness, you have to agree with it. You can't disagree. From getting the vaccinations, we were one of the first countries to procure it and get it as fast as possible to our people. We were very proactive. Then what happened is, we faced the lockdown having to come in. The first lockdown came.
You were proactive, Chris. You remember what happened at the time?
No, Shamir. You can't. Then
we were proactive.
We
were proactive.
Chris, that Dhammika Paniya, that was the first response.
That was something created. That was not endorsed by the government or by anything like
that. In Parliament.
Yes, so that is their self-belief. It is not never endorsed by the Health Ministry or the NMRA or no one endorsed it.
The
Minister, that's her self-belief.
In Parliament?
Whether she wants to go to church or whether she wants to go to Kovil or wherever she wants to go, that's her self-belief. You can't say, you can't.
But can you do those in Parliament?
When you are given 2 minutes to observe your own religion, and whatever religion that person observes, it's their right.
So, Chris, can you do that in Parliament, inviting media to come and take pictures of you and then publicize it?
I recall 4 ministers carrying pots and depositing it in rivers. Udegama, Pila, Pavitra, Vanyarachi, of the like.
You can't act against someone's personal belief.
If I'm not mistaken.
You can't act against someone's personal belief.
Chris,
then, if you have a belief
Chris, no, just tell me. Now when we are facing a serious crisis like COVID.
But Chris,
but then the vaccination program came in. After that, we were asked, the country was, when the government is just picking up, came the opposition's demand to lock down the country again. Okay? It was back to back, lockdown, lockdown. It became like a trend. Hashtag lockdown. Like before, like go home, hashtag lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. Everyone was on this lockdown trend. Then finally the government adhered and listened, and they locked the country down. But then what happened with the lockdown is the economic background of it. You know, whoever is in power will have to face that. And then, of course, soon after that, the political turmoil, and you know, that what created the economic the political turmoil that came afterwards. I don't say that, you know, we are 100% correct. There are mistakes, but the mistakes that were shown were blown out of proportion. Where the solutions that were coming or that are coming, political stability that should have happened, which which is now taking place, the stability in the country, the political stability in the country. You know, I agree that we can't say we as a government we ran perfect.
No, Chris, why do you think when your government was in power, you all had approximately 142 votes in favor of the government at that time, and you all were able to buy some votes as well, and then a few people crossed over. Some people crossed over. Let's put it that way. Some people crossed over, and you all were able to bring in the 20th Amendment to the Constitution as well. You all were so powerful in Parliament, but you all couldn't do anything. You all couldn't deliver. And why must the people have faith in a government that couldn't deliver to deliver now at this very important juncture in this country?
It's the consequence, it's a situation that you're facing. I'll not talk on a government.
Situation you always face
I'll not talk on a government situation, but I'll talk on a local government situation, Shamir. You take the last year, 2022, okay? 3 months of the year, we were in lockdown. Okay, we could not function. Okay? Soon after that, we come to office. When we come to office, Shami, the problem that we have is all our staff, there was a decision that we couldn't, you know, the staff has to be cut down by 50%. You can have only 20% in this. This is the category that you can have working. So when it came to policy making decisions, we had an issue because we could not fast track those issues. Okay? Then comes April. Mid-April starts, soon after the New Year started the political unrest. Okay? So then comes May, then the turmoil in the country where, you know, nothing could have happened. Until August, we as a local government could not function properly. Where, you know, we have to keep at least 300, we have to send out at least 300 million rupees of funding as fixed deposit.
Yeah, so let's focus our attention on Bharat. Bharat, what is the plan you all have for the local government bodies? Because your party has been there in the upcountry as a predominantly old and a powerful party for many, many years.
Yes, 84 years.
But look at the livelihoods of the people who are working in the estate community right now. Look at the people who are living in line houses. Look at the plight they are facing. You all have not been able to deliver anything substantial to them. That's what the people are saying at this point of time, and that is why parties like Digambaram's party became powerful in the last general election in 2015, because there were mistakes that were committed from the CWC over a long period of time. What solutions can you give them at this 9th March elections? What would you all do differently?
Yeah, thank you for bringing up that question. It's a very important question. Say, like as I mentioned earlier, let me go back to our history a little bit. Like we are a pioneer trade union, and we have our trade union history for 84 years. And in 1948, as I told earlier, our citizenship, our franchise was cancelled. We had 11 members only representing upcountry, like representing CWC. But in 1948, then our franchise was taken. Then again in 1960, again the Sri Pact came in, and half of our population, relatives, our brothers and sisters were repatriates of India, like they were sent back to India. And in again 80s, 70s, 80s, the riots broke out. Again civil war. Then again up until 2015, there was an instability in our development process. So time to time, with the support of the leadership, and also with the striving and the hard work of the people, we have come forward as a community, equally like recognizing all the other community. Now, Shamir, you asked a question like you were in power, but the living condition of
No,
the
no,
people.
I didn't say that you all were in power, but you all were in cabinet portfolios.
Yes.
Because you accepted that before.
Yes. So the thing is, see, now, if one estate worker, even though if he is a worker or a resident who is in the estate, if he wanted to build a small portion in his house, he wanted to take the approval of the estate management. If he builds a small, say, let's take a washroom or just a small shed, he has to take the approval of the estate management. Now, in 2015, you mentioned about the housing and all. So, late Minister Armugan Tondaman went to India, spoke to the Indian government, got 4,000 housing those days. Then in 2015, it was materialized and the houses were built by Indian grant. Then even in that housing unit, like earlier it was like 15 purchase, now 20 purchase, now it was confined for 7 purchase, and also that house is 550 feet square feet. Then that is also some areas it was less the amount. So like even in that housing unit, if they wanted to put up something, then they have to obtain the permission of the estate management. Then the estate, if there is if one person does not obtain the estate management, he writes to the PMMD. The PMMD file.
we don't want
like,
to do that.
no, I'm just I wanted to clarify that because
No, we
PMMD,
don't. We all know. We
yeah. Then they go for litigation. So we don't have the fundamental land rights. Okay, all the other citizens have, like, if there is no land, he is entitled for 20 purchase of land. But our people is confined for 7 purchase of land. So coming back to your question.
Sorry, where this entitlement come from? 20 purchase land?
Like, you know, like if there is a application made, so like there is like...
Where this is come from? Under which law? Or you said
No,
there's
like,
a right? There's a right for 20 purchase.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
just asking to improve my knowledge.
Like legally, like...
Illegally,
No,
yes, exactly.
Legally,
Legally, I'm
saying
asking you
is,
legally.
Now see, in the LRC thing, Land Reform Commission,
Yes.
if a person makes a petition, he can go up to a residential place up until to 20 purchase.
If you make
agree?
an application, if there is a land allocation, there is land custody, then if there is land, they allocate land.
That's what I'm saying.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Not a right. That's not a right.
What I'm saying
that's a request made,
that's
and if lands.
entitlement.
No, it's not an entitlement.
No, you
It's
can
not an
make an
entitlement.
action.
But anyway,
Yeah.
make your point. Make
Yeah,
your
what
point.
I'm
I just
saying
want
is,
to.
I made my point.
I just
I
want
made
to
my point. What I'm
enhance
saying is,
my knowledge because it's
like
alien to me.
he is entitled to request for 20
No, but-
the plan.
but-
So,
no,
I'm coming back. So, in that perspective, since 1948, there is the estate management holds the entire land. So we don't have a land right. So it is one of the fundamental problem we are having, and also our well-being. So now, if you take estate sector in the cluster, there is the estate medical dispensaries. So these estate medical dispensaries not in the management of the administration of the health ministry. Recently, 51 estate dispensaries were taken by the government. There was a paper submitted.
What have you all done?
Yeah, that is what I'm coming to say. So, we taking into the power, we have empowered the schools, the estate schools into provincial schools and national schools. And also we have given teaching appointments. We have empowered the education level. And we, as I said, we have brought the individual housing units. And also...
But Bharat,
yeah.
let's be honest here.
Yes.
People in the estate workers to increase their salaries from 800 rupees to 1,000 rupees.
Yes.
How much they had to toil hard. Look at the model that was adopted. The plantation companies in the upcountry said that they want to bring forth a stakeholder model.
Yes.
They want to give the ownership to estate workers.
Who said that?
The plantation companies,
Right,
like
okay.
big plantation. We've had people like Roshan Rajdurai,
Okay.
who is the head of the Plantation Association, on this very show, and said
Yes.
that they wanted to introduce the stakeholder model. But there was one party that was not forth with all these proposals. And that political party is the CWC.
No, that's a strong allegation. See, Mr. Roshan Rajdurai, since you mentioned him, I was in the negotiations. The plantation companies proposed 1,000 rupees increment, not by the salary. It is just incentive.
Productivity. It has to be tied up with productivity.
Yeah. Productivity.
You can't be paying people
Yeah,
just
so
1,000
you
rupees.
you are
have to-
self-selling. You can't increase productivity or increase salary.
It has to come
How
through
the
productivity.
company will think?
No, it has to come through productivity.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if
There is
hard
never
work-
a free meal
no,
or a free
no,
lunch.
No, we are not asking free meals from anyone. We are not beggars not to ask free meals.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
So what I'm saying is, like, we do hard work. So we asked a fundamental requirement where a living wage. The living wage comprises of food, accommodation,
And what
non-food.
happened?
Yeah. So we asked just basing on the food. So like so we prepared like our points where incorporating many points and all. So we asked a fundamental living wage as 1,000 rupees. But the companies, what they did, they gave the 700 rupees and incentives. That is not a wage hike. So that's what we had to seek the then government, and we had to refer the matter to the wages board. Then again, when we said that we are going to the wages board, they came up with a fancy figure, 10 rupees or 20 rupees. But we said a basic wage of 1,000
And you all were
rupees.
against it. Yes,
Yes,
you all were
yes.
against it. I
Then
know that,
what
yeah.
I'm saying is, we are asking a fundamental, like, basic wage of 1,000 rupees. They proposed, how to say, incentive increment. So when you mentioned that they wanted to have a productive model, productivity model. Yes, we are always up for productivity model. When late Minister Armugan Tondaman was there, myself and our General Secretary Jeevan Tondaman went to the Employer Federation of Ceylon. We welcomed, okay, introduce a uniform productivity model. What they did, they calculated 1,000 tea bushes, gave to some person, a catcher or some good faith person, and they wanted to pluck in that field. So if there is the manager and the worker has a conflict or a misunderstanding, they have all the right to take. So my workers, people's hard work and hard sweat and blood will be easily be misappropriated.
When you say my people, you mean to say estate workers? Or,
Everyone is a my people.
yeah.
Like what I'm saying is,
No, because
I'm a state worker.
No, I want to know, Bharat, what have you all done? Even now, when you go to the estates, I go to the estates
Yes.
once in 3 months.
Yeah.
When I look at the plight of the estate workers,
Yes.
I feel sorry for them. If you look at their houses, you can see the CWC flag
Exactly.
in every household.
Yes.
Respect them. Empower them.
That is
Give
the
them
same
give them
thing
the-
I'm
give
telling.
them the right.
Like from Colombo.
What have you all done? 84 years in
When you
power.
go to Nuvarelia or
84
Kandy
years in
or
power.
yeah, like when you go there, you will see our flag and our identity. Everything is there. But the thing is, now new housing which were built was introduced by us. As I told you, till 2003, we had our demand was to ensure our franchise and democracy, like democratic right. Then again, we were like, the country was in the civil war. Then our Armugan Tondaman, then minister, wanted to protect our people from this getting into some conflict. So he was protecting our people all throughout. Then again, when Jeevan Tondaman came in, and after 2015, after the post-war, we ensured the development programs. So we established schools, housing units, everything was done.
Sorry,
so
after 2015?
Pardon?
You said after 2015. I just heard like you said after 2015.
Yeah, 2005 and 2015, the next governments. So all like we were part of all governments.
2015 government you all were not a part.
Yeah, we were part of the government.
Yahapalna government?
Yeah, we were part of the government.
Which
we were
portfolios?
supported. Like
Which
our late
portfolios?
minister,
Which portfolio did you
late
all
Minister Muthu
hold?
Sivalingam was the
2018.
state
Okay,
minister.
right.
So you are, I don't know whether you are.
No, I'm
aware about
asking.
that.
I'm
No, I
entitled
just
to ask
wanted
you
to
a
clarify
question.
my point.
I'm entitled to ask a
Yes,
question because
exactly.
as far
That's
as
what
I'm
I'm
as far as
answering
I
your
recall,
question.
it was
Okay.
Indian sponsored housing obtained by, with all due respect to Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe as the Prime Minister. As far as I'm concerned, from 2015, whatever housing came, sponsored by the Indian government to the estate sector,
Yeah.
was obtained through
Yeah, so
Honorable Ranil
who
Wickremesinghe.
negotiated and took that houses?
Oh, I'm sure it was purely discussed. Yes.
As
Go
long
on.
as we're in the flow of asking questions, may I pose a question to once
No,
again,
but
Mr.
Cesar,
Yeah,
if you
well,
don't
let me
mind,
finish
just
that
let me finish this
question,
point.
please.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Of course.
Like 2 minutes. So what I'm saying is, we were continuously catering our people's rights. And also we are still doing that. Now we are into a development era where we are ensuring our youngsters should come into politics.
Why can't that leader of or cabinet minister of infrastructure not be Jeevan Thundaman? Why can't it be Bharat Arulsamy? Why can't it be
He's
someone?
a parliamentarian.
No, he's a parliament, but why can't it be someone who's not affiliated
Yes.
with the family? Why can't it be someone like Bharat Arulsamy who's contesting the elections, win the elections, and be appointed as a cabinet minister?
Yeah, I contested the election in candidacy,
and
as well as
yeah.
like, you know.
No, why must it be? Why must it be? You know, in Sri Lanka, Bharat, if you look at it,
Shouldn't that be a question that you should be asking him?
let's say Mahinda Rajapaksa, for an example. Namal Rajapaksa is a cabinet minister. Arumugam Thundaman was the CWC leader. Invariably, his son became the general secretary, and now he is the cabinet minister. I am well and for young people coming into the political forefront. There is no question about that.
Yeah.
But why must it be like that? Why can't it be someone like Bharat Arulsamy?
No, the thing is like the same thing. So I'm representing our party. Not Jeevan Thundaman is here. You know, I'm representing. No, so I'm an example where the youngsters has a possibility to come forward and engage in policy making. So we are giving equal feel to all the youngsters in our community as well as in the nation level.
So you're saying even an estate worker,
Yes.
who's 18 or 19 years old, whose father was an estate worker, can come and become the leader of the CWC one.
Exactly. Now our chairman, like our party chairman, Mr. Maradapandi Rameshwaran, he's a estate worker's son. He's the chairman of our Ceylon Workers Congress, and our deputy leaders are like that. So there is no partiality. It is not limited. Like our party is not confined.
Not like
only,
the SLPP.
Huh?
Not like the SLPP.
Look, I don't comment on other parties. I have to defend my party.
Right, okay.
So what I'm saying.
Sadrius, Sadrius said you had a question.
Coming to
Samir, and I need to respond to a few points.
Yeah, of course. We'll give a chance. We'll give a
my
chance. For sure.
question to you.
Sandro.
Now, we spoke a lot about allegations, but now coming back to the voice of the nation, because we are facing the nation at the end of the day, literally, at this show. Now, the people have seen a continuous government here who has brought in, like you mentioned, a lot of mistakes were made. I believe the mistakes would be the power cuts with the advanced levels, the taxes, a lot of mistakes where the people are suffering. Now, with these mistakes in proportion, now, Mr. Tharaka, my question to you is the people have a lot to ask in this local government election. In a local government election perspective, what are the people looking for? What is your party rather, willing to give the people in this election that is not being done in the current government, in a local government perspective? Because we all know, just to put it out there, because this is what the people are thinking right now, 10 billion rupees is being allocated for an election. Is there something different that's going to come out of it or not? That's what the people are thinking, because local government bodies, that is where corruption at its base starts. Correct. We all know that it should be put out there as well. So in a place, in the grassroots, if I may name it, the grassroots of corruption, where this has been seen over decades, and we are betting 10 billion Sri Lankan rupees, where we could have fed that to the people. We could have used that on the welfare of the people. We're using it to bring out an election. What will you bring out? That's
to what people? Now, a local government, very interesting question, I must say, and very logical you are, but what you fail to understand is, firstly, few aspects. Firstly, the value of democracy. These councils are expired, there is no mandate. Secondly, you're talking about feeding of the people, which is very important. People are suffering, we know, the poorest of the poor are finding it difficult to even have 1 square meal a day, which is true. But does this 10 billion cover that cost? Does this 10 billion cover that cost? President has already allocated funds according to his famous media statements to give 10 kilos of rice to every 2 million poor families. Well and good. Well and good. Let him do that. We are very happy. Now, this, as you made a very, very valid point, very vital point. Corruption starts at the local level. This was not always the case. Before our times, Satyajit, before our times, there was a thing called Gan Sabha. Before this, Pradesh Sabha, municipal councils were there, town councils were there, but Pradesh Sabhas were not there. It was called Gan Sabha. It was an honorary job. It was an honorable job and an honorary job. It was not paid for. Village leaders came forward. They became the village member. You call the member Mahatya in Sinhala. Then they became the chairman of the village council or the Gam Sabha. Then probably they ran for parliament. They worked hard. They worked for the people. And then after 2005, a lot of things changed. Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa's political advent, now don't tell me he can't defend himself, enough people to defend him here. After his political advent, Pradesh Sabha members were given a lot of responsibility. Sometimes 10 million rupees to 10 million rupees funding to develop a particular small ward at one go. Correct me if I'm wrong. At one go. That was under the Economic Affairs Ministry from 2005 to 2015 it was done. And major corruption, we don't need to pinpoint to incidents, major corruption. Then the chairman of the Pradesh Sabha Chairman's Council was caught red-handed, accepting a bribe of 2 million in his office. That was so many years ago. Then recently, after the election was declared, another Pradesh Sabha chairman of SLPP was caught accepting a bribe. So, corruption, you're saying on the one hand, you're saying this is the root of corruption. And then on the other hand, are you asking me why should we spend 10 billion? I'm telling you we should spend 10 billion of the national budget, which is already allocated, to elect new fresh members to these councils.
No, but
we,
just one second, if I can just...
We, SJB, our leader, Mr. Sajid Premadas, has expressly stated, no Pradesh Sabha member will be allowed to do public contracts. Now what they do is currently they put their brother's name, sister's name, father's name, they do contracts. They take the commission, they take the profit, and they do not do a proper job. So we have prohibited our local government
do you accept,
members to...
just give me a second,
Yeah,
Shannon.
sure.
Do you accept even someone accepts a bribe of 10 rupees, it's a bribe?
A bribe is a bribe.
Right. So the LPT police have arrested a constable attached to the same police station who was accepting a bribe of 20,000 rupees.
Not 10 rupees.
Not 10 rupees,
Okay.
20,000 rupees in LPT. The problem right now that we have in Sri Lanka is corruption. I think Sandra posed a very important question. What would the SJB do differently?
So that's what I was getting at, Shamir. We have prohibited, as Sandra pointed out very correctly, we must root out corruption from the local government level upwards. So we have prevented our future local government members from doing any public contracts. One. Then the biggest issues of corruption in parliament, in ministries, elected officials, unelected officials, all these must be brought to a halt. This has been a practice. You see when big contractors bid for a road project, these are first hand what I've heard, road project, they allocate a 10 to 15% margin to that, say additional expenditure. What is this additional expenditure? It goes to the pockets of certain politicians, certain officials. I'm not going to point fingers at all politicians. I'm not going to point fingers at all public officials. But corruption is there. And as a party, we are strongly committed to eradicate corruption as much as possible, and that will not be limited to only the opposition, but also on our side. That is why we have brought in anti-corruption bills to Parliament. We have been one of the main voices of advocating integrity, and when we are in power, we will ensure that the corrupt practices that have been there...
Taraka, while you're stating your case, in a general sense, in time of crisis, countries opt for unity governments. And we see this, I mean, even in Israel during the COVID-19 pandemic, Prime Minister Netanyahu opted for a coalition government.
Correct.
So in our country, why is priority placed on party politics and pursuing individual agendas rather than attempting to form unity governments and dealing with the emergency?
Yes, now during COVID, if you recall, we were supposed to run for an election. Myself, Arul, we were all running for an election. Election was postponed. We were not playing party politics. In February 2020, 20 or 21, Mr. Sajid Premadas, as the opposition leader, implored upon the government, requested the government to close the borders. Then we as a party urged the government to import the vaccines for the people from April, for the moment a vaccine was developed, from, if I'm not badly mistaken, 2021. Why not? Why not? You all didn't order the vaccine. You all were depending on Dhammika Paniya. You all were depending on all this stuff going, ministers going and dumping it in Bhavit.
Get your facts. No, he's been
when was the vaccine developed?
I also can counter a lot.
Yeah,
you do.
You prove me wrong.
I'll wait for my turn.
No, you prove me wrong. When was so you're saying vaccine was not there in April, May?
No, credit has to go to Sajid Premadasa was that in Parliament he mentioned that there's something like COVID and Sri Lanka should take measures to counter it.
To close the
not
borders.
Not about bringing vaccinations.
To close, that was the first argument. Firstly, we said about the closing the borders. You all refused to bring in vaccines. Your ministers, Namal Rajapaksa in Parliament, my uncle Vasudevan Anayakar in Parliament said we don't need the vaccines. Yes, I'm telling you. If you're challenging me, tomorrow I will show you the Hansard records.
Show me the Hansard records.
If I don't have access to Hansard records right now.
Tomorrow I'll challenge you and I'll bring you back on the show.
I'll give you.
I challenge you for that.
I'll give you. Are you saying you did not go for Dhammika Paniya? Are you saying your government did not endorse indigenous methods over vaccination for so long? Didn't you all wait until September to order the vaccines?
Vaccines?
Do you know that your government failed to procure vaccines, failed to get the priority for vaccines which were given for all third world countries? Are you denying that? What do you mean, what do you mean, Everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. Those are facts. Those are facts.
Chris, we didn't have the AstraZeneca vaccine for how long?
Those are facts.
The second dose. Chris, let's talk about facts. Let's talk about facts. Where was the vaccine?
It was based on, we were, but still the people were given a vaccine. At least one jab was given to the people.
But where was the second jab? Where was the second jab?
Sinopharm.
No point of talking about that.
No, I think Shamir.
I don't know if my question was answered.
Tarek,
can we get back to my question of why there is a prioritization of party politics and pursuing personal agendas?
That's where I was getting on. So at the time of COVID, we did not play party politics. We did not ask for an election to be advanced. We said, fine, you postpone the elections. We urged the government to close the borders. Gotabaya Rajapaksa laughed and said, I have seen so many deaths in the war. When 15 people die, I am not going to close the borders. First address to the public when Sajid urged to close the borders. That's what he said. After giving his
but talking about now going forward.
Now going forward, economy. Now where are we? Where are we economically? Economically, we were in a severe crisis. Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe became the president with the support of the SLPP. My friend Arul is trying to distinguish between the SLPP and Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. You said that, no? Try to distinguish, but these are all part of the same game. Mr. Wickremesinghe did not become the president through UNP votes. He couldn't, with all due respect, he was my political guru as well. He brought me into politics. But with all due respect, he couldn't win a seat in Colombo district. But he came through the nationalist. Then he became the president through the SLPP votes. 134 SLPP members voted for him. So then, when Mr. Wickremesinghe came into power, were we pulling his leg? When they implemented the fuel quota, were we pulling their leg? Were we challenging that? No. We supported them. We supported the government. But now, the government is being undemocratic at this particular point. There is an election due. If the risk is this, I'll tell you. The risk, if it's a very interesting question you posed, the risk is they will say this, no money to this election, then there's a presidential election due in 2024. Then also they will say crisis, can't help, no money, I will have to continue for another 2 years. What do we do then?
Tarek,
we won't let them set examples like that.
You spoke about bribes, you spoke about the manner in which how SLPP individuals have been engaged in nefarious activities over the years. But if you look at the 5th January, on the 5th of January, the Hambantota police arrested Samagi Janabalawega, Hambantota Urban Council and candidate Anura Shanta in connection with an assault to Samagi Education Trade Union Deputy Chairman Ramit Gamani. You all have started election violence even before the date's been announced.
So if it's before if it has happened, Shamir, no doubt, Samagi education.
So when you're pointing the finger at
Yes.
the
Can I respond?
SLPP,
You ask your
there
question, then I'll
there are
respond.
four
Okay.
fingers pointed at you.
Right. Now, Samagi education, whatever, is also SJB. This story you're saying 5th January, is, this other person is also SJB. Internal squabble or external squabble, if there has been an assault, there will be disciplinary action taken against that particular member, and if he is found guilty, we will take internal action. There is a law in the country. If that person has assaulted another person, he will be arrested, dealt with the full force of law. We are not standing in the way. But we are talking about, is that the same magnitude as a Pradesh Sabha chairman taking a bribe? I'm not justifying it. Don't get me wrong. Whatever, as I said, a bribe, even if it's 10 rupees or
It's a
10
bribe.
million rupees, is a bribe.
If it's violence, it's violence.
If it's violence, it's violence. There's no doubt about it. We don't mince our words. If tomorrow, if my leader, Mr. Sajith Premadas, is found to be guilty of an offense, I'll come out and criticize.
Very good. So, Chris, when the government is appointing more ministers and when they should be cutting down expenses drastically, how can the government in power set an example to those who are watching your actions?
See, Shamit, there is a allocation of 30 cabinet ministers that's there. But there's only 20 that were appointed, plus 2 including Jeevan that came in. So there's another 8 vacancies that can be filled. Okay?
And the most prudent decision is to appoint them closer to an election, so you all can gain more momentum.
No, see, Shamit, that I can, that is up to how you want to put it up.
But I'm asking you a
no,
question.
elections. See, the thing that runs behind me is about how Taraka started off and then you came to the question, is that, don't forget, from 2015, we've not had one election. No one from the SJB is talking about it. They were the ones who represent. Where are the provincial council elections? What happened to the provincial council elections? Now they're screaming, they're harping, asking for elections.
The person who postponed that elections is your president. Now
Where
you're
is
running
my
under his
president?
party, you're running under his symbol.
When you
You're
were
running
there,
under his symbol.
he became the
You
president.
tell that to him.
He became the
We were
president
very
last.
We would have been provincial councillors at a very young age if we had the elections. But there were legal
pass
issues.
the ball.
There were legal issues.
Now he's yours. He's
He's yours. He's not
When I
ours.
had
I
to
never
take
said he's ours anymore.
when you posted the question about me, asking me about Ranil Wickremesinghe before, I said I'm still on the same grounds.
You don't like him?
But I
But
think, Chris,
then now he's no more with us. He asked your president. But this is from 2015.
Am I with him?
Okay. No.
Am I with him?
No, I'm asking
Am
from
I contesting
2015.
from his list?
I'm 2015.
Did my
And
party
then
made him
as
the
for- as
president?
for
Did
your
we give
question,
134 votes? No, my dear, no, you're
10 billion rupees, had Sajith Premadas not hammered down billions of rupees of the Central Cultural Fund.
Come again,
we
say
would
that
have-
again,
we
say that
would have
again.
not
Hammered
had
down,
this-
Sajith
I mean,
Premadas has
there
hammered
was
down
severe
billions of rupees
wastage.
from the cultural fund.
Okay,
That's what you're saying. You're making a very serious allegation.
I'll show you what the Daily-
no,
that-
don't
what
show
the
me.
Daily
Are
News
you-
said.
Are you taking
What the
responsibility for
Daily
that
News
statement?
said, I'll show you
Are
what the
you
Daily
saying
News-
he
I am
misappropriated
saying-
funds from the National Cultural
Hey,
Fund?
what?
Are you saying that?
Sajith
No, don't show. No.
I'm showing what's on
You
media.
didn't show the.
I'm
You
showing
didn't
what's
like
on
that.
media.
You're
That's
showing
what's-
that now.
that's-
You
Yeah,
made an allegation.
I'm not making an allegation. I'm saying what was
what
what was there on the media. I'm just saying
You're
what was there
taking
on the-
responsibility.
I'm showing.
Expect
I'm
a
showing.
letter from the law.
To be threatened on this thing.
No,
I'm
that's
not
not
threatened
threat.
right now
That's
because
not
there was
threat.
a threat. Okay.
Let's be
But
very civil. Let's be very civil. The statements that you're making, please take responsibility and
Yeah,
ownership for the statements that
I
you're
am
making.
taking what
because
is-
we won't
what
be
has been
independently
published on
verifying
media.
these statements on air
I know,
right
it's
now.
not- it's
so
not-
please take responsibility for the
understand.
statements that
I
you're
understand, Shah.
making. So all three of you.
No.
I just want
I'm
to
taking full
I want to
responsibility for
express
whatever I say.
express a
Yeah,
note of
so
caution.
likewise when-
just be careful when
Yes.
you're expressing
So
thoughts and
likewise,
your
there
comments.
was
I
allegations
don't
made about.
Chris, you are very mature now, and I expect you
No,
to
likewise,
be
there was-
mature
from the cultural
during this
fund. These are very
conversation for the
serious
next
allegations.
half an hour to 45
Which we have
minutes as
met,
well.
The cultural
with
fund.
all the justifications. All right,
Okay.
go on.
No, that's okay. I say what I have to say. I
Of
stand by
course,
what I
yeah.
say. So,
Very good.
That this thing. So
That's Ajit
when
Premdas hammered down money, from the
when it
cultural
comes to local government elections and the franchise of the rights of the people, I think that 10 billion. This is my personal opinion, and I agree with you on that. Where we have to. For example, Colombo Municipal Council has a budget of 16 billion rupees a year. Dehiwala Mountain has a budget of 3.5 billion rupees a year. Okay? These collective things are there to go back to the people. So 10 billion of the coming from the central bank or from the treasury allocated for this, it's by fairness should be given, because otherwise the people won't have the right to their basic needs. Don't forget, a local government is a place where from a time a person is born, from the maternal clinic to where till they die, till the cremation or the burial of the body, where everything of their day to day, their thoroughfares, their basics are taken care of. So that allocation not being able to go, there are, I won't say that everyone is clean and that everyone does not, they don't, there is no corruption. It's a micro scale body. Everyone has corruption within in all parties. I won't say it's the SLPP. The SLPP is clean. No, they are not. UMP clean. No, they are not. SJB members who are acting in the UMP.
We don't want you, Chris. We don't want these political parties. If someone's watching this show tonight, and when you're saying all political parties are corrupt,
no,
what is going on in their mind
not parties.
Why do we want these corrupt individuals ruling us again?
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying. It's not the parties that are corrupt. Okay, there are individuals amongst those parties that have corruption allegations. It can be from any party. Okay, there are, whether it be the SJB, whether it be UMP, whether it be SLPP, we all have corruption. There has been bribery commission cases being filed against many people. You can't say, no, we are spot clean, it's the UMP, it's the SJB who's doing this. No, you can't do that. You can't say that. But then the funds that are allocated per annum, your rates, your taxes, people are complaining these days, after 10 years their rates went up by 70 to 80%. I know organizations which are suffering. They can't handle it. But what's happening is, when on the positive side of it, what people should understand is, your rates going up means your land values have come up.
Chris,
okay?
Please,
no.
Let me ask another question. There's no point talking about this. People are suffering at this very point of time. Yes. When the Minister of Energy says that they want to increase electricity tariffs, little does he understand that there are people who can't even afford 1 square meal. Those who got their salaries today because of the 36% tax increase that was witnessed, it was negative, it was minus. If you go through Facebook, you are very active on social media. Check your Facebook today and see how many people have reprimanded the parties that were in power. These are directly involved. I will ask a question that someone has posed. The SLPP must take responsibility for the crisis in the country today. The government should have decided to bow out gracefully and let others take over. People are starving today because of wrong decisions taken by the government, a confession made by the former president. Why don't you all resign?
So we have resigned. The president is of another party. The prime minister is of another party.
Prime minister is from the SLPP.
He's from the MEP by origin, but the whole collective thing is, I can't say that I don't.
So can't Chandrasekhar, who is the Minister of Energy, is not from your party?
He's a representative from the SLPP. Yes, I can't say that. But see, the country. See, we are going at a...
Kehli Ramukwal is not from the SLPP?
Samir, the thing that...
No, you're saying no.
No, yes.
That's what I'm asking you.
Okay, Jeevan Thondaman is not from the SLPP. President is not, the executive of the country is not from the SLPP, the executive.
Why is he there? How did he get there?
No, but...
Who voted him in?
That is, see, this is...
No, Chris, who voted him in?
It's the parliament that voted him.
Parliament, who voted?
A collective of SLPP and opposition and...
opposition...
including two SJB members.
Two SJB members, yes. And 134 SLPP
including
members,
two SJB members.
132 SJB members.
Because your leaders cowardly not to contest the election at that time. Otherwise, you would have got more SJB members supporting you and more SLPP members coming about.
SLPP members.
So yes, your thoughts? Yes. So why don't you all at least bow out now? Because we've seen the mess that you all have put us through.
See, Samir, it's about the world market rate. That you take oil, you take gas. Now, gas will increase by 500 rupees by next week, 500, 750.
Very easy for you to say this.
All this time. No,
and very easy to say
understand.
electricity tariffs are going up by 50%.
I am also one of those
gas
people.
prices are going up by 500 rupees. Very
now
easy.
you are talking about taxation, Samir. There is a slab. When the IMF said 45,000 rupees and above to tax it, the government came and they said over 100,000 rupees. How many people are here at not within our circle? How many people from your area who can't even afford 10,000 rupees a month? They've been paying for all of this all this time. Their taxes have been paying for it all of this time. So I understand it's a very hard decision to make. Province-wise, Western province is going to be a very difficult thing for us. But the reality is, the poor man has been paying for majority of everyone while they've been sitting back and enjoying their tax benefits. When, there were tax discounts given back in the day, and now, that it's times are hard for the country. Otherwise, the government does not want to, take it up on tax.
Because Tharaka said before,
the taxation comes from Aragale, from the Aragale, where the country said that they want, the people who were in the Aragale said that the country is doing the proper taxation system.
Even the Aragale you said it was politically motivated before. So
$2.65 billion been lost.
You can't nitpick certain demands of the Aragale and then
but then most of the demands of the Aragale is
so then what about their main demand? Stop corruption.
I'll show you.
How far gone are you on that?
You said it was politically motivated. Now you're saying
No. Political motivation came. That's why we saw, some people being hammered and had to run out from this thing, and another faction coming in and walking with the crowd like, we run this show.
Who are these people?
This was during the Aragale.
Yes, I remember.
I saw someone.
I will tell you one person.
Run 100 meters in national. That's the first time.
Sam Pushpalal, chairman of Ambalangoda Pradesh Sabha. There's a picture. He can sue me if I take full. Unlike say other people, I take responsibility about what I say. Pushpalal Kumar Singh, if I'm not mistaken in name, chairman of the Ambalangoda Pradesh Sabha, SLPP candidate, next in line. Hammered Father Jivanta Piris with a huge pole. There are photographs, right? That is SLPP. Then on that day, when Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa summoned people to temple trees, they got together and one guy was going around say, "Meka tamai velava Golface bahina," and encouraged the others to go and attack.
You all not there.
That's when Golface became violent. That's when the violence started. You all unleashed violence on those innocent
but I did not hear any of this.
Just to clarify,
how he says it that do this. I don't think anyone said that.
You were the meeting.
So you're responsible, right?
I'm responsible.
You're
Sue me.
I don't want to sue you.
I
don't want to sue you. I am not.
No, you lied here. I'm going to get you a letter of demand.
I just keep on reminding you.
Cultural
This has to be a this has to be a civil dialogue, a discourse. So let's be serious.
I'm telling him to sue me.
Right, okay. Right, okay.
If he has not seen this.
Chris, we're
maybe
talking
Chris
about...
was also, we have to be fair by Chris. He's a decent boy. He would have been appalled by this conduct. He would have been closing his ears and shutting his eyes when this happened. Probably.
No.
At temple trees.
No.
Yeah,
I was more concerned when people came to attack my house and people were burning houses. Parliamentarians were killed in broad daylight. That was a nice argument.
That is not justified at all. That
justification. They can say it's fine. No.
Who says?
No, he's not saying.
Who said that?
No one is saying.
Yes, so then
not a rightful
setting
person with a good education background would ever say that's
murdering
okay.
people. That's not that.
They wouldn't say it, Chris.
That's
wrong.
That's wrong. Who said that? You're a little confused, right?
No, I did not say that. You said it, but I'm just saying that.
They were saying. You said they were saying. When you said they, it should be either me, them, or him.
It
Just
can
to
be.
confirm,
Anyway.
Chris, earlier you said the Aragale was a politically motivated movement, and then just a while ago you also mentioned that the tax reforms were something that the Aragale put forward. So you're saying you got, are you saying you got the idea to implement these tax policies from a politically motivated movement?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
See,
just to clarify.
You take, for example, you take the Saubhagya Dakma, the concept Saubhagya Dakma. When that came out, there was a copy of it, or maybe a few words here and there that were changed by other candidates. Okay? Very similar concepts that came out. When the government, whatever the government was planning to do, that is a weakness of our government at that point. Whatever we were planning to do and
One of the
move forward-
weaknesses from the many you all had.
No.
No.
The
Sugar
the-
scam, fertilizer scam. Look at
where can you point
fertilizer.
the scam?
Fertilizer. What happened, Chris? Talk about fertilizer.
Okay, what is the scam?
Who stopped? No, there was no scam. Who stopped it?
Huh?
Who stopped it?
That was a policy decision that was made by the government. That was under Saubhagya.
10 years. 10 years from
Yes,
now.
so
10
that-
years from
that's
now.
what I'm saying,
No one
Shamil.
told to
That's
bring it
why-
immediately.
That's why you are forgetting that before this I told you
Look
that
at
we
what
have-
happened. Look at what happened to
before this we
the
have- I
agricultural
told you,
sector
we
exports to
have
the country.
made mistakes.
50 billion kgs
That
dropped
was a
last
very,
year
very
alone.
dicey mistake.
The
Yeah,
tea
very
industry.
nice
affecting
mistake.
our
That-
food security.
those are the
Taking advice
those
from,
are the mistakes. Yeah.
Can the
pediatric
people afford
neurologists
these
rather
Exactly.
than
Exactly.
agriculturists.
Where are those people now?
Can the people
That's-
Where are
afford
those
these
people
mistakes?
now?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's the
your
problem. That's the problem we also
Your
have.
people, we have
As
to-
SLP,
But
we have-
you were part of the government even now. You were talking on behalf of the government even then and now and probably in the future as well.
Yes, I mean, but then when you spoke about the sugar scam, there was no scam on that.
There no
Mr.
Where's the
Can people
fertilizer?
can people afford mistakes like the ones that your government is making?
No. People.
Then why
people-
should they choose you?
No. See, the thing is that people have been burdened by every single government that has come in, but don't forget,
Including yours.
including us, but don't forget, we were a government under the guidance of His Excellency President Mahinda Rajapaksa, who finished a 30-year-old war. The devastation that the country faced back in the day to what we are facing now is very different. Okay? So, coming from that, we had some wrong, we did several mistakes down the
A
line.
lot of mistakes.
Okay? You can point fingers, I mean, you know, but then there was another government that came in which was toppled immediately soon after they came in. 3 years down the line, very similar operations that happened.
What do you mean? Tell me.
No,
What do you mean by that?
like in 2015 with the political change happening, starting from 2018, the SLPP as a new party, as an upcoming party, we came up in a very
The
abrupt
same way you all came up, you all took the country right down with you all itself.
You can't say
Look
that.
at where we are today.
Tell me during President Rajapaksa's
Yes,
time.
tomorrow-
Tell me during President Rajapaksa's time what the borrowings were. Where did we borrow from?
And there is no question
Where were
about
we? So economically, where did we drag the country down?
You all
We were-
borrowed, right? You all made the Delum You all made the Lotus Tower. Tell me.
That was prior to. That was not Gotabaya. I'm talking about Gotabaya
You said
Rajapaksa.
Mahinda Rajapaksa.
No, I said Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Okay, from the time he came, tell me one borrowing that was made, one country that he went and borrowed from. Okay, he was there. He was. The repayment of the loans are what were taking place. But then you should understand that there was a world
Chris,
disaster.
You are lying, Chris. During Gotabaya Rajapaksa's time, how much of money did we borrow? We had a swap with Bangladesh. You can't remember.
Currency swaps.
So currency swap,
Which is unpaid to date.
Which is unpaid to date.
Okay.
Which is unpaid today. You can't remember. You are lying, Chris.
No, I'm not lying.
Then what are you doing?
Currency swap and borrowing is a different thing, Ramir.
You have to pay it back.
Okay, when you have
yeah.
not paid it
So
back.
then that's the
Right.
borrowing. It's
So
you're
Shamir,
trying to
I'm
dress
right.
up.
You're talking of $300 million as opposed to how many billions of dollars that have been coming from.
So you said that we didn't borrow at all, but we have not
Okay,
been paying
currency
that money
swap.
as well.
Can you tell me one thing Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa got right?
What he got right was combating COVID.
Oh, okay. With
Okay.
Dhammika Paniya and with
No,
all this
that's all you can say.
being
But
dumped,
when people were dying
stuff
on the
being
roads in
dumped on
Italy,
the
when people are
rivers.
dying on the roads of, people are dying inside their apartments in the United Kingdom. In the United States, we saw people
Our
without...
people were dying
People
on
were
fuel
dying.
queues. Our people were dying
on fuel queues
fuel queues. Our people were dying on
this
gas
is- That was
queues.
post-COVID. Na. Okay, not pre-COVID.
So that's okay.
Or while
So
COVID.
that's
No,
okay.
I'm not trying to justify that.
Right.
But what I'm trying to say is what the country went through
Right.
and the opposition's role that they played by putting different things to the mentality of the people. When people are suffering and you say, this is what they are doing without trying to hold on. The economy, we are still
Is it
struggling,
wrong
Shamir.
for opposition
right.
No,
to
it's not.
to
It's not.
close
It's
the
playing
borders?
politics.
So-
It's
so-
playing
so-
politics.
Opposition
So,
to
right, so
demand
it's playing
people be
politics.
Right. So
vaccinated.
right.
There's no problem in politics.
Now let's look at the manifestos or the future course of action. We've been crying over spilt milk all this while, unfortunately. But again, we have to revisit the past. What has happened in the past is a reflection to what's going to happen in the future as well. Tell me, as the SLPP, let's start off with the CWC. What do you all have in store for the future?
Exactly, like for the future. Like in this local government, and let me start with this local government election. Yesterday, our General Secretary pointed out this election, we are ready for the election, but the thing is, spending this amount of money for a local government election at this moment is like a question we all should ask. That is one. Secondly, as I told you earlier, the system change, where we all are desperate and we all wanted to change, and institutional change. So whether this local government mandate is going to bring a institutional change is a question. And keeping that aside, like when
whether
we
this
are,
is going to bring an institutional change is the question mark. Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah, institutional change is the,
Now you all don't want an election.
like what I'm saying is,
No, let's be clear.
Yeah,
Does the CWC want an election?
no,
or not?
CWC is ready for an election, but spending this much of money at this crucial period, I don't feel this election is an essential one. But we have to respect the democratic rights and the constitutional framework. If there is an election, we are ready to face the election. Okay. Next question is, what are we going to do?
Will you all emerge victorious at the elections?
Pardon?
Will you all emerge victorious at the elections?
Definitely. We are 100% confident the people are with us, because we have given what we have promised to the people. Not only this, what we call the wages, but also we are considering the social empowerment of the people. Now our policy is driving through the socio-economy of the people, because these IMF things are coming up, and there might be a lot of changes in the course of action. A lot of cut downs may come out. So our General Secretary being in the cabinet, he has to ensure, as a party, he has to ensure that cut downs is not affecting our people, and also as a country as a whole. So for that, in this local government election, we have given a lot of prominent places for, as you asked, youngsters and also the women. And also we had control over 11 local government authorities in Nuvarli, as well as we had major influence in Badulla, Kandy, Kagol, all these districts in local government. We strongly believe in upcoming election, we will increase our members gradually, and also we are expecting to empower the socio-economy in the ward system. Like every, as learned friend told about, like, you know, they have entrusted the SJB members not to engage in contracts and all. Likewise, we have given a task for our local government members to engage in socio-economy development, to bring back our economic stability, because, you know, at the moment we have to encourage, like we are witnessing a big brain drain. Like, you know, a lot of people, young minds, are like migrating the country. So like no investors will come if there is no professionals in the country. Almost all the professionals are leaving the country.
Profession is affected by the taxes as well.
Exactly. But if they wanted to increase the revenue of the government, we have to like look into tax increase also. But I'm not supporting the tax increase. But what I'm saying is, we have to find way. Like
you're saying your party does not condone tax increases. What would Jeevan Thondaman do at the cabinet now?
Pardon?
What would Jeevan Thondaman do at the cabinet now? Because he has collective responsibility.
Yes, he has assumed office last week.
Yeah. So what would he do now?
No, there's already taxes been implemented. So we have to see what are the ways we have to implement projects and like socio-economy development, or encourage entrepreneurs, at least to encourage in the local production, to at least to get the export market. That is
with
what
30% taxation, you think
that is a problem.
The
so
president it's a very short-term measure. The president
it's a very short-term measure. Like we are.
How short-term is this?
Like we have to see, like
short-term is a year, or short-term is 5 years?
No, the president has clearly given a working plan. So in this working plan, it's a short-time
working plan.
Like how we are going to resurrect the economy. We all are working towards that. Like my members here, the media, the public, everyone working to resurrect our economy. So as a party, it is our responsibility to to create a framework where the grassroots level people also to contribute this economy resurrection.
Taraka, what's the way forward?
Well, local government elections we are looking forward to, and we hope the government will stop putting any more roadblocks into the elections and let the public go and vote. We have two aspects. Firstly, we will show the country and show the international community that this government does not have a mandate. Secondly, and more importantly, it's about productively running the local councils, which is the more important factor. As we discussed earlier and more or less agreed, all of us, there's a lot of corruption, particularly mayors, chairmans, UC chairmans. These people are having a lot of power, like dictators. There are officials, even I'm not going to name anyone, but there are officials in every municipal council. There is a commissioner, the executive officer. Then there are accountants. In every Pradesh Sabha, there is a secretary. There are accountants. But the mayor dictates the terms. The Pradesh Sabha chairman dictates the terms. Even a COC, a certificate of conformity, if I'm not mistaken, in Pradesh Sabha non-UD areas, to date are signed, authorized by the chairman.
Yes.
As a lawyer, I have seen COC is given the customer copy or the residence copy is signed by the chairman, but there is no record in the Pradesh Sabha. So this is the root of corruption. We will, as SJB, we have already told our candidates, no hanky-panky. You will have to be very honest. You will have to do your job. Politics, it's our duty to increase public faith on politicians and politics. Today, this white-wearing, funeral-going politician is looked down upon.
So you all have told these the politicians who are contesting the elections that they have to be honest.
We have taken all the steps to eradicate opportunities to be dishonest.
But you all have to start that with checks and balances.
Exactly. So that's what I said. Now
when you say we have told them.
No. You're misinterpreting me.
No, you just said so.
You can't. What I said was earlier. I clarified. Don't hang on a word, Shamir. I earlier.
No, but that's what you said.
We have instructed we have told our members that you all are not going to do any contracts. Is it wrong, Shamir? Is it wrong? Or is it wrong to take an oath from people if we decide to take an oath from people, okay, we are not going to engage in corruption, is it wrong? If we advise them that if you engage in corruption, these are going to be the repercussions, we will have internal inquiries, other than dealing with the full force of law, we will have internal inquiries, and if you're found guilty, we will remove you from party membership and you will lose your... Is this wrong? Is that wrong?
But the process is to have a checks and balances.
Correct.
System.
I don't disagree with you. I fully agree. There is no doubt. A system, now that we can't do, Shamir, by winning a local government election, how can we introduce a system of checks and balances? When we are in power, that's why I said earlier.
When you all have members of parliament who were elected from the national list, who are now supporting the SLPP.
That's why we can't take that. It's very sad. It's very sad that we have taken disciplinary action against Diana Gamage. We have taken disciplinary action. She has gone to court. Every member of parliament under Article 99(13)(a) of the Constitution can go to court and challenge an expulsion. That is where they are. So we have taken steps. So what I was saying was, when we are in power, before we come into power, we have submitted our party secretary Ranjit Madhum Bandara tendered private members bill on anti-corruption. We are going to support all measures against corruption. People are disgusted about politicians, disgusted about political parties, and youngsters like us, we take it upon us, our duty, because I am a lawyer, I am a professional, I don't need to be in politics. We take it upon us to purify the system. We are trying hard, we are fighting inside, we are fighting outside, we are trying to ensure a system of anti-corruption is placed upon. And I don't disagree with you, system of checks and balances. When we are in power, when we have the majority in parliament, laws must be introduced, laws must be strengthened, there's enough teeth in the bribery or corruption commission, you must make full utilization of that, all that is so. There has to be a political will to eradicate corruption.
And you're saying that your leadership has that?
I am saying that our leadership has that. That's why when my friend Chris Balthasar made a wild allegation about the cultural fund, that's why I said I will get a letter of demand served tomorrow, because we believe that we do. And if there is a corrupt member of ours who's found guilty, we will fight inside the party to have internal investigations and suspend their membership, and if they are found guilty, to expel them from the party membership and from all office. We will do that. we will. That is what we believe in. That's why we are in politics.
But do you think, come 9th of March 2023, what is the prediction that you all have in mind? Because I know there is no member from the NPP at this forum today, but the NPP, the SLPP, the SJB, the CWC in their own constituencies are coming as strong political parties, even the SLFP, the helicopter symbol, many political parties. In your opinion, Tarak, do you think, how much of percentage-wise do you think that the SJB will be able to garner at the next election?
Samir, very clearly, SJB being the main opposition and the largest grassroots party at this particular point of time, we are very confident that out of the 340 odd local councils, we will win a controlling majority of a massive of at least 80% of the councils. We are very confident
80%?
about at least 80% of the councils, not 80% of the vote, 80% of the councils will be run by us. Because if you recall, when we were in power, when
I see somewhat of a split between the NPP leadership and the SJB leadership at present.
it's natural. It's only natural when I don't see SJB competing with NPP, but I see NPP is competing with SJB, making derogatory statements about our leader, and because you can't make any allegation. Anura Kumara Disanayaka and the NPP knows very well that if you make allegations of financial fraud, we will take action. So they don't do that. What are the allegations they make? They say Sajid Premadasa gives buses to schools. What's wrong in that?
You said about a bus story before.
He said some vehicle, so that's why I didn't respond.
Vehicle
can be anything. But we don't give any buses now that the election has been declared. Those buses are nicely parked.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, we gave medical equipment that is out of our party fund, and we do whatever we can while in opposition. I don't see anything wrong. I don't see anything wrong. We do that and we show our bona fides, and we will do more when we are in power. There's nothing wrong. Now, what NPP laughs at, good thing you raise. I didn't want, out of decency, I didn't want to raise.
No, but I want to raise the issue because
now that
we see somewhat of a dispute.
Now that you raised it, I will say they are saying busman. Like that, Sajid was called padman during 2019 presidential elections when he was talking about period poverty. It was a very sensitive issue.
Yeah.
Now they have realized the price of sanitary napkins for girls. It have become more or less prohibitive. You will agree, for the poor, for your estate community, for my village community. We have.
What is it about?
We are providing through.
Very good. You are providing that. I'm very proud of you. But what I'm saying is, it's felt through all the poor communities.
Absolutely.
So now the padman story, this thing, when he tried to when he urged the government to close the borders, they were saying, no, we have seen so many people dying in the war. Just because 15 people died, we are not going to close the borders. Then what happened? So we've been forecasting this, we've been acting as a responsible opposition, we've been urging the government to act responsibly, and when we come to power, we will act responsibly, we will eradicate corruption, we will deliver, we will drag Sri Lanka out of this dark hole that we are in and place it in the path of development and prosperity.
Taraka, that SJB is the future of politics in Sri Lanka?
Clearly. Who else?
Okay. Chris, what would at least you all do differently this time, considering to what has happened from 2019 onwards?
Collectively, when it comes to local government, that the thing, few initiatives that we've started is adjusting ourselves to the existing crises. Now you take where I represent, Deval Mountlavinia. By now, we are converting all the street lamps. You remember there was a time when we had an issue where we had to switch off the street lamps. Street lamps had to be put on after 10 o'clock in the night. Even now, with the recommendation that will come in time to come, where the street lamps will have to be cut off for certain hours. So, what we have is a sodium vapor 250 watt light, the existing bulbs, what you have outside your studio. We are changing those into 100 watt solar lights. So overall, Shamir, we are saving about 1.8 megawatts per day.
What's the capital expenditure there?
About 50 million.
Only the Deval Moratorium is
Only that's the primary stage. 50 million. Our saving is about 1.8 megawatts per day.
So 50 million, when you say 50 million, how many street lamps are you talking about?
About 1,000. Little less than 1,000, because there are some areas where we have to use, where the beach areas are concerned. The cost on that is a little bit more.
Okay.
So on average, we'd say that's about, so 30 megawatts plus for a month.
So you're saying a street lamp would cost 5,000 rupees?
No, 50,000, Shamir.
5 million? 50 million?
50
million, okay, right.
Yeah.
50,000 rupees, right, okay.
Below 50,000, but it averages at about 50. So I'm saying, moving forward. So what we are saving about 150 watts on per street lamp, collectively. Other areas, public areas that we have, to make it solar. Now see, when you take the Deval Moratorium, we have a 3 billion budget. For capital expenditure, we have at least about 600-700 million. So, infrastructure-wise, with the previous government.
But the government has decided to stop all capital expenditure, at least for the time being.
So, but not for solar. Not for solar, not for renewable energy, not for, garbage collection methods, no. So we are taking those, the clear directives given, we take it and we are enforcing it now, where we go in for solar projects around public areas. So this is something that the party is looking at on a very positive vibe and getting it out to the people, where we combat the issue, but not, politically we can be slandered. People, we saw on this forum today, everyone talking about how they are going to do it, what they are going to do. But what I'm talking is these are, facts and figures of how we are going to move forward. If we have a crisis, how we are going to fight through it. Now I gave you one, so at least if we can each per, if we, those of you had switch one light bulb off at home to save energy. But here we are saving a megawatt, per 1.8 to 2 megawatts a day. So collectively, if we go in as a nation and controlled areas where we can collectively get this done, the street lamps alone will save us so many hours of this thing to help combat this thing. So cutting down of costs also at local government levels, we've gone into different avenues. There was in the entire administrative circle of the government service, there is a surplus. So that's why the government also has made a decision not to.
But is it good ideas, Chris? I think
these are implemented ideas, Ramesh.
Yeah.
These are implemented. It's not only just good ideas which are pending on the pipeline. These are implemented ideas which is happening now. Okay.
So there are solar lamp.
Not solar lamps. In street lamps, where solar lamps are not successful on the coastal area. Okay. You start walking out from here, your area will be done very
because since 2018, you all had a sizable.
Since 2018, we've been doing this, and we are continuing to. We are going on a more rapid scheme because we want to make it happen, and help. At that time, we don't have the power crisis. Now we are on this thing where we want to combat and help the crisis.
Yeah, power crises don't happen overnight, Chris. It happens on a prolonged period of time.
Yes, but
so there has to
in
be
future.
That has to be forecasted by respective governments in power.
I'm not talking about if we come into power, we are going to eradicate corruption. We are going to eradicate this.
You all to do that.
What I'm saying is, I'm telling you on
at least
policy,
now,
on how we are going to move forward as how we are.
Corruption is not on the cards.
Shamir, I can't be responsible for everyone who's there. Also, all five fingers in the hand on the same.
Absolutely. So you're trying to say that there will be 5 people, at least 4 people will drop, and you will be the single man, single lone survivor.
Whoever is going to come there, he does not know who's. That's the word that we all put in. When we take oaths to office, that's something that we promise upon.
What?
When we take oath like that we'll abide by the constitution and we
Constitution, nothing to do with corruption. No?
So corruption,
constitution.
So that all falls. Yeah, so legally,
yes.
When on a constitution,
yes.
you as a citizen, you abide by the constitution.
Yes.
Okay.
And
so if you break the law, that means you're
the corruption.
If you break the law, if you break the law,
so
if you break the law, that means you're not abiding according to the
Right, right,
Constitution.
Chris,
Correct.
So that's right. So when I take oaths, that's what I do.
Correct, correct.
Okay,
That's,
Chris,
that's,
okay,
fine. So the same thing as taking oaths is what they do prior to this thing.
Fine.
So, so what I want to say is that, what, we had the Saubhagya Dakma. We had the Gamasamga Pilisandana. These are things that went round to the rural areas where people were tapped. People were given signs. Within the UMP's time, when the UMP was in power, then they had the Gamperaliya. Okay? But here we have Saubhagya. We went to the grassroots. We've spoken to the people. We understand what the people want. Okay? And we've delivered in most areas. That's why I speak with confidence that we won't have a problem when it comes to winning, because the grassroots, we are still very strong.
Thank you very much. Chris Balthazar, member of the Development Municipal Council, head of the Foreign Relations Committee of the SLPP. Chris, what do you all do in this committee in question? You are the head of the Foreign Relations Committee of the SLPP.
We work with most of the embassies on foreign relations and party-to-party relationships. So, in fact, when the first Sinopharm vaccines came in, we were also instrumental in supporting to get that through with the Communist Party, the party-to-party ties. And also when Honorable Sajid Premadasa got the ventilators and all those machines, were also with bilateral talks that we also had, and we were able to get it.
Sorry, come again. You got the ventilators for us?
No. It was at a collective discussions.
Right.
I can mention all these things.
Right.
Or the next thing is going to say is I'm going to send a letter of demand for that.
Not for that. But the other thing is, unless you make an apology now, unconditional apology.
I have told you. I said.
Slamming down my.
No. I said that was not a paper. Maybe
I'm going to close the show for
my
tonight.
interpretation of it would have words would have been wrong, but
Right, okay. Right. Let's leave it at that. Chris Balthazar, member of the Development Municipal Council, head of the Foreign Relations Committee of the SLPP, attorney at law, Tharak Ranakara, Samik Jarabalavegya, representing the main opposition party in the parliament, Bharat Arulsami, Vice President of the Ceylon Workers' Congress. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening on Face the Nation. I hope and pray when you all are going out today, you all will be holding hands and not having any difference of opinion after the show, because it's all done with the objective of a proper discourse, and you all can be very engaging and constructive at the same time, and promoting your party ethos and the sentiments therein. Thank you very much, Shania. Thank you very much, Attorney at Law Charlotte Benedict, and thank you very much, Sanjo, for joining us this evening on Face the Nation. I leave you tonight with a quote, as I always do. By voting, we add our voice to the chorus that forms opinions and the basis for actions. Take care and good night.